Hey, what's going on, everybody? Cletus here. Today I'm working on something pretty cool and different. Got a pretty awesome lock mail from my buddy Zehkar recently that included a couple of locks from France that I've never had the opportunity to handle before, and I'm working on one of those today. This is the Thirard, I hope I'm saying that right, Pacific. And it is a pump push lock. The first one of those that I've worked on, referred to by maybe some certain people as a cat butt lock, for obvious reasons. It has a set of 5 sliders that run in line with the cylinder, and when they're all depressed to the right gate, they have a number of false gates and a true gate on each one. It allows the center to rotate. Pretty cool. Very different from anything I've handled before. This is the key for that lock. So you can see it's got a number of different bars on the outside of it, basically. All at different depths that push those sliders to different levels of engagement. And then one cutout there for the single pin. There's a pin tucked up in the top, right between these top 2 sliders. I don't know if you can see it or not in there. Yeah, I think so. That is the thing that kind of binds first, and that is the one conventional pin that has to be picked. Let's go ahead and throw this in the vise here. So the action on this is really, really nice. Smooth, turns very nicely, and the springs on the sliders kind of like almost make the key want to jump out at you when you're done with it. So pretty neat, really different from anything I've ever messed with before. Biggest thing here, and kind of the biggest complication with this lock, is tensioning. So the notches that the sliders engage on come all the way to the outside edge, but this outer portion, this like bezel, is fixed. It doesn't rotate with the lock. The actual rods on the key push past that bezel and then rotate, and that outer ring doesn't rotate with it. So you actually have to reach past it to tension into one of those slider grooves. Now, optimally, you'd tension into one of the ones that isn't a isn't like effectively a 0 one that you just have to lift a tiny bit or not at all to get it to set. I've played around with these enough to know that, well, and even if I didn't have the key, obviously I can look at the key. I've got 3 effectively max lift sliders. I don't know how these are typically numbered, but I think of it as 1 through 5 going clockwise. So my pins 1, 3, and 5 are all basically max lift. So I can kind of use any of those grooves to grab without worrying about oversetting one of those sliders. People tension this a lot of different ways. Some of them just come at an angle with like a bottom of the keyway tension wrench. I kind of stole an idea that I saw in Sidepicks video, because, steal from the greats, right? Just got a piece of music wire bent here, just a tight little J, and with a little bit of bevel ground onto it. And that will allow me to kind of slip it past and then engage in that groove and tension the core that way. I've got a couple of these made up so that if I need to, I can kind of pass off in the middle of the pick, shift from one to another. So like a lot of slider locks, you can kind of feel your true gates versus your false gates on these, where, when you're in a false gate, you'll have a little bit of play, but not much. It'll be pretty constrained. But in a true gate, you'll really have a lot of bounce into it. It'll really move back and forth a little bit, and you can tell pretty clearly that you're in that true gate. As you start setting different sliders, you'll get kind of a progressive false set going on, and you really can get into a scenario where you basically you've set too many and you're trapped in a false gate with the one or two that are left, and you have to either kind of manually counter rotate it and hope you don't drop another slider to work that one down, or as I think Zehkar talks about in his video, presetting. You try to preset those as much as possible, even if they're not binding real tight, kind of, especially the ones that are real deep. The moment you feel like you can start setting them, you start setting them. That way there's no issues there. So I have played around with this a little bit. I have opened it a couple of times. The one thing that with these, I don't know, it will kind of relock basically every, I don't know, effectively what, every fifth of a rotation. So if you wanted to pick it all the way around, as I'm sure some people have, you'd have to pick it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 times, 5 or 6 times to get it to go all the way around. So when I do get it picked, I'll lift it up and show. You'll be able to see that the inner section is rotated from the outer, and then we'll snap it back, but I don't want to rotate it too far because I'm not sure at that point in time if I can still get the key in it, or if I'll have to pick it back or all the way around. I'm just not sure. So I guess we'll deal with that when we come to it, assuming we can get to it. So I guess that's enough, me running my mouth about it. Let's go ahead and see if we can actually start picking this thing. So I will do my best to give you kind of the best view that I can here, but this is awkward to work on. So we're going to start with that pin. Having just a little bit of trouble getting on it. There we go. And I don't know if you heard or saw that, but there was a decent click and a little bit of core rotation there. If you run into a scenario where you drop a few things and you go back, you'll want to check that pin again, but generally that pin, at least for me, has stayed set once it's set. So just like with anything else now, we're going to start testing. And I can already feel that I'm bound on pin 1. So pin 3 dropped into a deeper false set, and I had to actually release a little bit of tension to get it out of the gate it was in and moving again. Yeah, I released a little bit too much tension. So this is an awkward lock to pick, and it's even harder trying to do it on camera. These 2 wrenches that I have fit, retention bars fit just a little bit differently. So we're gonna, there we go. Pin 5 is set. Pin 1 is set. Okay, I've got 1, 3, and 5 set, I think. I think I've got 4 set. That leaves 2. And I'm going to have to swap my wrenches around. This is why I have 2. Okay. 1 is set, 2 is set, 3 is set. 4 feels like it's binding. I'm going to swap my wrenches back just to make it a little bit easier to work on where I want to. Just checking 5. 5 feels set. So 4 might be my only remaining pin. So now I need to see if I can get it set without dropping something else, because it's bound pretty tightly at this point. Just going to test everything else again just to make sure. Yeah, everything else feels set. So what I'm trying to do is just kind of easily, just lightly back off tension here. And I'm pushing the slider as much as I can, kind of counter, not just away from me, but also kind of counterclockwise against my rotation. Yeah, I just felt something drop. I think I overset it right there. Maybe not. Let's test everything else real quick. 1 is good, 5 is good, 3 is good, 4 might be good. Ah, might actually, yeah, actually we're opened. Whew. So I'm gonna lift this up just so you can see here, because it's very hard to tell. But if you look inside, you'll see the inner pin is offset from everything else now, and I'm going to turn it back. And when I do, you'll see all the sliders spring back in. So yeah, that was our open. Not very dramatic, right? That went relatively smoothly. I've had a few picks on this thing that have gone real quick, and I've been able to open them real fast. I will say I need to send out a specific thank you to Sidepicks for stealing this idea from him. I fought with this thing for a couple of days on and off, trying to use a bunch of different tensioners before I saw his video, and switching to that method really made this a whole lot easier. So yeah, let's go ahead and gut this thing. I've not gutted this all the way yet. I've kind of only done like a partial gut on it. I have a general idea of what I'm going to find in there, but I'd be really interested to see, you know, what all the internals actually look like. I'm going to zoom in here just a little bit, so hopefully everybody can have a clearer view of what's going on. So these cylinders, they'll have a couple of pins in the top when you get them, like plugs. And I had to drill mine out, and I tapped them for set screws. I need to get a shorter set screw for this one. I just haven't been to the store to pick one up yet, and yeah, just haven't had the time for it. So you'll have a small one in the front and a bigger one behind. So the small one actually houses that one standard pin that you can kind of see on the inside there. And that has to be removed before the core can be pulled out. The second one houses just a retaining pin that engages with a hole on this sleeve, and that's what actually retains the core inside. So let's go ahead. We're going to take the pin out first. Set this down for a second. See, old worn Allen wrench that doesn't want to let things go a lot of the time. So inside here, there's a spring and like a little plug that applies pressure to the actual pin itself and then the pin. So I'm going to go ahead and just tap all these out. There we go. So we've got just a spring right here. We're going to effectively call this pin 6. We've got this little plug that applies pressure to everything and keeps it in place. And then we've got our one little pin tumbler pin. Apologize if I'm going off camera. And that's what that very first pin that we pick is. The one that's in the very top. You'll see that it's gone now. So in the second location, we'll also have a spring and another retaining plug. This one, like I said, engages with a cutout. You can see small end down. Engages with a cutout on the sleeve here. This whole section is just going to push right out now. It's a little bit snug. There we go. So this outer sleeve comes right off. And you can see you've got two holes in there, the hole for your pin in the front and the little hole that this retaining pin engages with, like that. And that's what keeps your sleeve from coming out and what keeps you from being able to gut the lock without removing that pin. Now, here's the rest of our core removed. You can see our 5 sliders in front. And then here on the side, it's a little bit difficult to see, but these two little pieces here are effectively our sidebar. When everything is set properly, when all the sliders are pushed in, there's two little, let's see if I can get these off. I've only messed with these just a little bit. There we go. These two little bars here. This is effectively our sidebar. Got the right one. And the left one. And we can see kind of the side of our sliders here. And as we push these sliders in, you'll see the different false and then eventually true gates. So we can see it's a false gate, another false gate, another false gate, and there's our true gate. And that's one of our max sliders. So that's kind of how this actually works. And then once those are allowed to collapse, then this whole thing can rotate inside of here. You can actually see the groove with the bars right in. Pretty neat. It's been a while since I've gotten to mess with something that's kind of a brand new mechanism, so this has been really fun. I know I've said it a lot lately, but thanks Zehkar for giving me the opportunity to get a hold of one of these. It's been fun to it's really been a lot of fun to play with. So let's see, we're gonna get this retaining ring in the front removed. I've not popped this out before, so I don't kind of know how difficult it's gonna be. there's a, if you can see it, there's a snap ring. Basically, that's right around the inside here, and that's what's retaining. There we go. All of our sliders. And now that that snap ring has been removed, all of the sliders are free to come out. So we've got one. Let's take a look at this real quick. So slider one, we can see it's got 1, 2, 3 false gates, and then the one really deep true gate on the outside, and that's what that bar would drop into from the outside. Really cool. Slider 2. Slider 3. Four. And 5. And then each one of these has a spring. And there's our empty core. I think I'm not exactly sure how the actuator is removed, but it doesn't really need to be removed for the purposes of what we're doing. Yeah. Really, really cool and different lock. This one's been a pleasure to work on. I've really enjoyed it. It's been fun to do something super different. Fun to, you know, have to make a new custom tool for it. Yeah, really great one. Definitely recommend if you get the opportunity. I don't remember if I mentioned it earlier. I think this is, I believe this is an LPU Red Belt lock. And again, it's a pump push lock, the first one of which that I've gotten to mess with. So again, Zehkar, thanks for giving me a chance to get my hands on one of these, and Sidepicks, thanks for having a great idea that I could steal. So, all right, everybody, that's the Thirard Pacific, or the FTH Thirard Pacific. All right, everybody, take it easy, and I'll catch you next time.